Rum and apple cider, the pumpkin spice for alcoholics. The weekend's over with. We didn't have an episode, so we're going to give you a topic today. Now, even though the pirate genre in gaming is kind of a niche thing, with the most recent one being Sea of Thieves didn't really start off with the greatest launches. In fact, it was hailed one of the worst launches, if you remember. But eventually it did become good. However, there are no more pirate games aside from that, if you want to include Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And speaking of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, today we're talking about Skull and Bones. Back in 2017, Ubisoft announced that they were working on Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones was a game that was a spin-off of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but it was originally intended to be an expansion to Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but due to the outdating of technology, as well as the fact that there was a lot of work being put into it, they decided to branch that off into its own spin-off. The game has been in development since 2013. However, it has gone through the ringer when it comes to development hell. A couple days ago, Skull and Bones was announced to have been delayed until March of 2023, marking the 5th delay in its entire life cycle. Originally, the game was supposed to be launched in 2018, just a year after its announcement. However, like I said before, due to the development issues, there's been a lot of delays since then. After the 4th delay, everyone kind of had that same expectation that this would be the last of the delays. They had already done a gameplay reveal back in July of this year, so the game can't really be delayed again, right? Unfortunately, that is wrong. Now, prior to this most recent delay, the game was supposed to come out November 8th. However, that has all changed. On one hand, I am all for a delay. I would rather a game come out fully polished, finished, and to the best of its quality, and to avert another cyberpunk scenario. But I will say, Skull and Bones does not bolster confidence in a lot of people. The gameplay reveal back in July didn't exactly show everything that people were expecting to see out of a pirate game. The gameplay examples that I'm showing you are just exactly this. There is no land navigation, especially when it comes to collecting resources for your ship. There is no getting out and chopping down trees. There's no collecting animal skins just by hunting them. You are locked to your ship. But why? Why this change in the way that the game is being played? Well, the reason why is because the reboots. Throughout its entire development cycle, the game has seen numerous amounts of reboots, and on top of the delays that we've seen are external official delays. Who knows how many times the game has been delayed internally with its development. And the other biggest issue is that it's a Ubisoft game, and Ubisoft has not been doing well, especially when it comes to its open world titles. Ubisoft seems to be stuck in this open world model, wide as an ocean, but as deep as a puddle. And the issue with this open world formula is the fact that they are extremely grindy. And this also incentivizes Ubisoft to throw things in the store like XP boosts. Now, the other issue with the open world formula is that they are implementing it into every single game. So every game doesn't feel that much new. Even though that they are in new settings, they still feel too similar. However, Ubisoft could actually change the way that these feel if they would just add more substance and stop focusing on the fucking store. Unfortunately, Ubisoft has a hard time even just doing that. The other issue with Ubisoft's open world games is their entire user interface. They are just cluttered with icons. In fact, the user interface is so meme-worthy that they've actually made a meme about that relating to Elden Ring. What if Elden Ring was designed by Ubisoft with its cluttered UI and icons? Now, granted, the footage that was shown is pretty early, so it's hard to even judge it until the game actually comes out. They are going to be reworking some things, but at its core, the game is not going to be what people are expecting. Now, people are going to be going into this game with this notion that it's a pirate RPG with open world exploration, when it's actually not the case. Outside of your ship, the only true explorable areas are going to be your ports. These core features alone are not enough to garner interest from the player base. Just to use Sea of Thieves as an example, even after all of its updates and polish that it did to make the game better, if you were only locked to your ship and the ports there and you couldn't explore any of the islands, would you even want to play it? And one of the biggest issues with the development of this game is the fact that it's Ubisoft. Now, Ubisoft hasn't been scoring points in the people's eyes, especially when it comes to the treatment of its employees, as well as the crunch culture, a culture which has been damaging to game development. These issues have also left developers of the game skeptical of whether or not this game is even going to be successful or not. In an article stated by PlayStation Lifestyle back in 2021, Skull and Bones went through what seemed like a never-ending development hell, and at one point it was believed that the game would eventually be canceled. Ubisoft surprised everyone when it announced a release date of November 8th, 2022, with a switch to current-gen platforms. However, it looks like the company would have more to lose if it scrapped the project entirely as opposed to releasing as it is. Now, if it's one thing that you need to remember about all games is that these are red flags. When even the developers were thinking this project would get canceled, and then Ubisoft comes in and says, no, we're going to keep it going, and then they surprised even the developers with a November release date, what does that usually tell you? It tells you it's probably going to be shit. The communication to the top is not exactly there, and these developers on the lower levels are struggling to keep up. This is very similar to something that happened with a game called Anthem, if you remember. I truly hope that I'm wrong and that this game ends up being something that everybody was looking forward to. However, there's a lot of information that's come out in the last couple years that don't exactly point in that direction. I've even seen reports of tech testers even saying that this game is not exactly what they thought it was going to be and that people are going to be pretty disappointed. And the game is also not ready. My final thoughts on this is that to avert your expectations, don't pre-order this game and wait to see exactly what it is when it launches. But those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section, so please leave a comment of what you think. Are you excited for the game? Are you not excited for the game? Do you not give a shit? I'd love to know. So please like and subscribe to the channel. We're a small podcast of veterans that just like to hang out and talk about gaming news. It's kind of like Barracks Talk. So if you're a vet too, drop a comment, tell us what branch you were, what unit you were with, and we love seeing you guys here. So thanks for hanging out with the Blacklisted Gaming Podcast. Tune into the next podcast episode, and we'll catch you around. Later.